If the van is fitted with shock absorbers, be sure that the motor units do not obstruct them. Before fully tightening the bolts, it's necessary to make one final check: the gap between the rollers and the tyres. 20 mm. Now tighten the nuts to a torque setting of 40 foot-pounds. The 4 on the main crossbar and the 4 on the cross actuation bar. Finally, the clamp bolts must be tightened. These prevent the unit from sliding along the chassis. The mechanical components have now been fitted. The electrical components can now be installed. First, make sure that all power is disconnected. The 12-volt battery power and any mains electricity. The control unit needs to be housed somewhere safe from the risk of damage, somewhere dry and as close as possible to the battery. The unit can be vertically mounted or horizontally. Fix the unit securely into position. Drill a 25 mm hole through the floor, close to the terminals. Take care to avoid any chassis members, gas pipes or electrical wires. Later, the motor cables will feed up through this hole, but first the cables must be routed under the floor. Use the trunking to shield the cables from any sharp edges. Leave a small loop of slack near the motors. This will allow the motors to move freely back and forth when the rollers engage and disengage. It's important that left and right cables are of equal length. The trick is to bring left and right together at the van's centre and then route them onto the control unit. The motor cables are now passed up into the van's interior. Cut the cables to suitable length, strip off 5 mm of insulation, and fix the spade connectors. Tightly crimped connections are essential. The motors are very powerful. They draw heavy current. So be sure that the spades are very solidly fixed. Attach the connectors in accordance with the wiring diagram. "12-volt power supply cabling is now connected to the control unit. Black to the negative terminal, of course, and red to the positive. Do take care. Reverse polarity will damage the control unit. These power supply cables will now be routed to the leisure battery. The negative cable will run directly to the battery's negative terminal, but the positive cable must first pass through the isolation switch. The ideal location for the isolation switch is the battery compartment. The positive cable runs from the control unit to the isolation switch and then onto the battery. The negative cable runs directly to the battery, uninterrupted. The power cables can now be connected to the battery, together with the van's regular power cables. Cut the cables to an appropriate length and remove 5 mm of insulation. Once again, ensure that the connectors are solidly crimped. The wiring installation is now complete. Operating functions can now be checked. The control unit is shipped with the handset already paired. If, however, the unit needs to be repaired at any time, the procedure is as follows. Press the recessed reset button. Now press the power button whilst the LED is flashing. The green LED then lights continuously. The pairing sequence is now complete. Switch the unit on by pressing the power button twice. Press forward and reverse buttons to check that the rollers operate in accordance with the directional arrows on the remote. Engage the rollers onto the Caravan's tyres. Keep winding until the arrow is between the marker lines. At this position, the rollers will give satisfactory traction for most situations. Installation is complete. Your Caravan is now equipped to make hitching, unhitching, and every kind of docking maneuver an effortless, safe routine.